It's me, Leathur Rokk. Welcome to my channel. I am live. And whatever dropped, that was just a wine glass that had some dead flowers in it that I'm supposed to take to the cat's grave. And, well, coulda, shoulda, woulda, all that. I have a confession to make. I was actually out. Hurricane Erin is going on right now. It is 250 miles off the coast. And I went out with the new cell phone to go and catch some footage. And I did. And, well, maybe you'll see this in a couple hours. But anyway, I tried to go live from the Tropicana Casino Wi Fi. And guess what? I had one of those Joe Biden experiences where I forgot the process. And I tried doing the things where you see the little square thing, and that just asked me if I wanted to share pictures or video. Didn't say anything about going live. And two people that I was with, they didn't know how to do it either. And when I first got this cheap little marvel that I got from Temu, I'm thinking this is probably not much more than a glorified toy. Let's see what kind of use I can get out of it. So the fact that I'm able to get any functionality at all, I'm really grateful for. And if I fill it up real fast, well, at that price, I could just get others similar to it. And as long as I'm sure to upload everything so that it's safely somewhere, uh, you know. But anyway, greetings from Atlantic City, where it is so windy out there. I'm sure it was at least 50-mile-an-hour gusts. I had a visor on my head that was blown off a number of times, and when I was still walking down the boardwalk, the first time was blown off into the sand, and I had to climb down to the sand to get it. And of course, I'd left my purse on a bench, but kind of slightly entangled on it, I guess to make it harder target for passersby to steal, right? Meanwhile, there I on the beach, and it's about maybe 5 foot drop, something like that now, and probably now with beach erosion, it's even more. And a passersby saw that I was trying to grab my purse, and they said, "Can I help you?" And they untangled my purse and he gave it to me. And it was good because I was on the beach. I was able to do a little bit of roach hunting, and but you'll have to see the video for that. But obviously, I didn't get swept in the ocean. I'm okay. My mom was kind of nervous when I left. I told her what I was doing, and she said, "No, be careful, be careful." I says, "Mom, I have to get the footage." Just like I was out there with Sandy. We didn't evacuate, and the thing is, this thing is not expected to reach landfall, but all the beaches are closed. You know, and I didn't see, of course. And this was the time I'm not normally a beach goer except in the off season because I can't be in the sun. Uh, but nighttime is a time to be there, or when it's totally cloudy and you don't have to be worrying about being bombarded with UV rays, even though I'm still wearing sunblock on my face and stuff. But it was so nice to be able to walk in sandals with no socks. And that's a great thing is I actually have beach shoes now, you know. And then I saw some friends after I got my footage. That's always a bonus. But it is so windy out there. Matter of fact, all the windows are closed in my house that I know of, that I have anything that I have control over anyway. My mom asked me to close her window. I closed the window in the kitchen. So, but it's really windy out there. We are getting flood advisories. We had slight rain this morning, by slight, and it was really pretty negligible. But still, boardwalk gets really wet. You're wearing any kind of rubbery sandals or whatever. I almost fell on my butt a couple times. Uh, and then every time somebody tried to light something up, everybody's got their head on a swivel because there's more and more places where it's illegal now to smoke anything. And they don't have the signage yet, though. It's like only the street people and a few people know about it. And they're probably not going to be focusing on the tourists. If they think you spent money in the casinos and you got a fancy hotel room or something, you think they're going to be quick to write you out a ticket. But the cops are getting to know who the locals are, and especially if you associate with street people. Ooh, then you get a target on you. And it's so ridiculous. But Another friend of mine got a ticket something the other day. Another person told me that the cops went and or Creta maybe went and confiscated. They had just a duffel bag with their stuff and just took it. Doing that to people is really messed up. RV Files, hi, welcome. Yeah, RV Files also has a YouTube channel, and I all about supporting my fellows. Yeah, I'm doing this here because you know, at least I know how to operate my home computer. This newfangled cell phone and everything, you have to relearn how to do basic things. And I feel like a real dunce, you know, but it was good to be out. I like to be out in nature sometimes, and I like to be out in the elements and when it's safe, and water doesn't trip me out. I grew up here. I know what to do if you get swept into the ocean. You don't fight it. You got to relax. You got to let it take you. There's undercurrents. I mean, you don't want to take you under, obviously, but I mean, you relax and then you swim parallel to the shore, and then you belly ride, wave in. See, these people, how people mess up. People are not raised by the water, and they don't know what it's like to get caught and know how big the ocean is. It's just you can't imagine it. They go in these fancy, beautiful destinations, and then things happen. And it's like if you were raised in the water, then you would know what to do. And meanwhile, we lose too many people. So please, if the lifeguards say it's too dangerous, if the surfers are not going in, if they surfing competition or they postpone them, trust me, don't want to be too close. You know that the water is so strong. You could be standing on the water's edge, and you can be standing on sand, and you can actually find yourself. Uh, it will the ground will fall out from under you, and then all of a sudden you'll find yourself in a hole, and hopefully you can climb out of it. And so it's better not to even be out there. I ended up getting about the equivalent of my knees out there, and that was I used a life vest for swimming safely. That's good. In my what I already have packed, I have one of the real lifeguard, those round life preserver things, and it's attached to some rope. And this was from the Atlantic City Beach Patrol. And during the course of all the packing up that we're doing to move out of here, sometimes people throw out things, and you take them out of the trash. And I'm real good at being a trash picker because people throw out stuff that should not be thrown out. And then sometimes people you got to be a snoop in the trash because sometimes people throw out your stuff. And in previous videos, I talked about how I found out that letters from home that I'd written in California years ago were deliberately torn up and thrown out, and luckily I rescued them out of the trash. Burger Boy, can I attach the ring light to a broom or something? Um, well, all the poles that I have, let's see, I have a mic stand and I have a phone mount. And I have that actually right next to the stove in the kitchen so that the next time I do a cooking video, I can stick a cell phone in there. I actually have it taped, this mount taped to the mic stand because the angle is absolutely perfect. And that way I don't have to keep on adjusting it. And I'm sure I'll get further holders for the phone. I noticed they always look like guns though. When I was walking around Camden with this phone in this holder, it had this black barrel, and it totally looked like I was walking around with a revolver of some kind. Um, hey, Shanda. Uh, Free stuff. Oh, free stuff, man. If it wasn't, when I used to be grateful for $5 sale racks, and then I discovered 99-cent stores. And I was grateful for 99-cent stores. And then I discovered bags of clothes just laying there, open up, and people said, help yourself. And since my tastes are not with the average people living around here, like I love my kitty. This is, since I can't see the tag, I don't know what it is, but it's probably children's clothes. And hey, if it fits, you know. And all those clothes I got from my mom a couple weeks ago, and she actually was happy with them. So tape it to the ceiling is a halo. um, I have a bat. I think I have it put in storage, but it's a kind that you're supposed to stick in your garden. It's supposed to keep insects away or something. And I misplaced the stick that it gets mounted on, because if it doesn't stay mounted on the stick, it can fall over and stuff. But I really love bats, but I have a feeling it's packed away. But that would be cool. I don't want the set to be too cluttered. In the same token, a lot of the good stuff has been already packed. Thank you. I try to keep it clipped a lot to keep the curl, so when I take it down, it gets the curl. But then it got hella rained on today, and you when you're by the ocean, you get the sea spray and stuff, all that salt air, which is really good for the skin. I like walking around 2, 3, 4 at night, and if I really want to be brave, maybe not even have any makeup on and just let the mist get on my skin. But you never want to end up in like a 7-Eleven or something, because then you say something to the cashier, then somebody recognizes it too. And that's why I never really go out of the house without makeup on, because you never know. And then there's always those assholes that might go try to sneak a picture and say, here, this weather looks like it or worse. And it's like, there are people who do that. So it's easier. It just take a little bit of time. At least put the bare minimum on. In the daytime, I have to wear sunscreen. My mom is doing better and better and better. She's getting stronger. She makes it down the hall. It doesn't take nearly as much time. She can do all those basic things that you do yourself. She can dress herself. Now, one thing that happened, I help her with some of her physical therapy, and she has been using a resistance band, and it's the mildest, the lowest strength one. But anyway, it finally bit the ghost. It snapped, and I tied it in half. Then it snapped again, and this is the one we do these exercises. Now, I tried to tell my mom that if she could just, even though she didn't have the band in her hand, if she just, first of all, you got to suck your stomach in, then you clench your fists and feel that. Imagine, if some of this requires visualization, have your elbows approximately here and start from here. Go up to here, keeping tight tension. I mean, you're imagining that there's tension here. You got to pull your abdominals in. You're working, it's a compound exercise, actually. But the thing is, the resistance band, you're actually using your own body weight and stuff to your advantage. But if you didn't have anything, you can use your mind. But you have to keep your abdominals in. I know a thing about exercise, even though I probably sound like a hypocrite because I haven't worked out in a while. Otherwise, I would be sporting a six pack. But anyway, and I also know that nobody put a gun in my head and said I had to eat all that sweet crap. That said, I think I have some experience that I can help my mother to get her strength and stuff. But anyway, she's got to get another resistance band. So, uh, oh my god! Oh, ooh, yeah. Well, if there's any consolation, the bats was more scared of you than you were of them. They just want to eat. They're hungry. Just like I don't understand the people that are scared of mice. My mom is scared of a dead mouse. Okay, and I mean, I'm sorry. I know that they spread diseases and you shouldn't touch them, but they're real soft and fuzzy. You ever look at a mouse up close? You ever look at a bat up close? Oh, one time I saw look like two brown dead leaves on the boardwalk, right? It was at night near Tropicana, and I picked it up. And actually, when I saw it was a bat on top of maybe a dead bat, it's like, do you have sex with your dead fellows? I don't know. But anyway, how to pick up a bat? They can't fly up from a totally ground position. You have to stick a piece of paper or cardboard or something underneath them, and then you carry them to like a bench or something. And then once they have something to climb onto, then they can fly off. But I wish I had video proof of this. This happened a couple summers ago, maybe just after the pandemic, I guess. But I love bats. I've loved them since I was a little girl. And of course, my mother, she raised me on things like Dark Shadows and certain of the not violent horror movies, and she always explained the tricks with the microphone. If there was a shadow, she would point it out, and she would see there's a real light wire that the skull dangles on. And she explained different things, so I never had a fear of them. And what I don't like is the really violent movies, the torture porn movies, Saw, different things like that. I won't watch things like that. Final Destination, I don't like. I'm sorry, that's not within my comfort. So, and anyway, I like comedies better. But no, I love bats. That's my favorite part of the Halloween season. That's the time of year when you could get the merchandise with the bats in it and the merchandise with the skulls on it that you might want to have. Any of the stuff that you would like if you identify as a goth in any uh, way. That's a good time of year for that. And also, you get your black lipstick cheaper and stuff. I got a real big thing of white face. It wasn't Ben 9, but it was something I got on Timu. A real big jar of it that actually I like to use that to put as a base to put my eyeshadow on. Uh, though with today's eyeshadow to get the look that I wanted, I got a container of the black also so that I could do my zebra stripes. But I used a little bit of black on the eyelid. And so I got this effect because I didn't want it to be a real bright purple. I wanted it to be a little bit closer to this. So you could see the color is. But that's how I achieved that effect because. And plus, I really wanted to. That's the thing. At least you're outside, you get to show off the colors properly. And I'm right next to. There's a window right here. All right, and I've got the overhead lighting here, the pole lamp there, a light here. So that's the lighting situation I have here. So I was trying to do the 3-point light setup. But until you start to see outside footage, I don't know that you're really going to see exactly how the color came out. And I haven't washed it yet. I did go in the shower and get the hair wet just to get the curl back. And then I clip it up with those claw things and I let it dry that way. As long as you don't let it get mildewy or something. But no, that only happened when my hair had taken it out of the braids. And actually, it had been, because my hair was in braids for like 8, 9 months, maybe. So that's the one thing that's stopping me from going and braiding it again so soon, even though I love the look. But it's just what it does when you're finally taking it out. And then if something happens that you run into some violent crime and they smash your equipment, and then you have to keep your hair up so that your hair continues to look good when you're finally ready to film again and stuff, and it could really interrupt your life. So, uh, so I'm really still looking forward to next time I get to go to Washington D.C. I do like the summers better than the winter, though. I could still see being there December briefly for that Kennedy Center honors thing. I would not be one of these extended trips. And the thing is, I almost hesitate bringing it up because then they're the people that are going to say, "What am I going to do with my mom and stuff?" And it's like I think I have time to make some kind of arrangements. Um, and a lot of. Thank you, Meyer Greenblatt. Hey, yeah. This was supposed to be going on at the Tropicana today. I found a place where the Valley Parkers drop off people and where people get away with smoking because there's all these signs saying you can't smoke here, you can't smoke there, and stuff. And the thing is, it was too windy. I would have just used the boardwalk, but it was just 50-mile-an-hour winds. You can't spark up a bowl on that. Not to mention the fact that you've got the unpredictability of the passersby and the noises they might make. At least where we were was quiet, but I could not figure out how to go live. you know. But everybody I saw was in really great spirits, and there was a number of people on the beach. Nobody was in the water, nobody did anything foolish. But I guess if you're already invested, booked your stay on vacation, you're going to get something out of it. And places seemed like a lot of places looked like they were opening up on the boardwalk. I don't know. I only walked for just a couple of blocks on the boardwalk. Most of my walking I did on the city streets today. So, because it was so slippery, I was really afraid I was going to fall. Um, because it was so slippery out there. And then I had to make sure, of course, the phone was safely in my purse because the last thing I wanted to do is have it fall out of my hand. And, I haven't dropped it yet. I have a feeling since it's so inexpensive, it probably might not be too sturdy. And also, I didn't know how waterproof it was. I didn't know if sand was going to blow into it. Today was just, I'm still trying to figure things out. Um, it says that it has a online instruction thing or something built into that thing. Like I should take some time to read that. So, but I have to really just pay attention to my mom. Seems like she drinks so much water. We refill water bottles from our good tasting Atlantic City tap water. I stick it in the fridge, and she wants cold water. I give her that, and sometimes she wants coffee, and other times she wants tea. I was ready to make us another pot of cowboy coffee, but she says she wants tea. And the thing is, if she thinks she's saving on the caffeine, actually the last three, not the coffee I made this morning, but the other three pots of coffee, that was decaf. I just didn't think to mention it. They were the ones that you get from some of the casino hotels and some of the hotels off the street that have coffee makers in their rooms. It says it makes enough for 4 people, but if you do it the way I do, where you put it in the carafe, it soaks like a tea bag, brews, and you can make a 10-cup pot. So, but my mom thinks she's going to get less caffeine with a tea bag, which actually, no, she might have a point because considering I'd make a pot of tea with just one tea bag, and a lot of people, if they get 2 cups out of a bag, that's it. But really, and if you let the water actively boil, you can get a nice sized pot out of one tea bag. And imagine the money you're saving. And if you do like I did, where you get your tea in those packages of 100 tea bags, that's great because you don't have to do any measuring or anything. You don't have to do any straining. But we have strainers too. When I make my cowboy coffee, I just swirl the grounds around after it's been sitting in that boiling water, and then I just pour it through the strainer into the cups. What's beeping? Hey, am I still able to play guitar and boardwalk there? Hell no. Cops threatened me with like $1,000 in fines. They said if they catch me there, they will ticket me. And since then, they have been ticketing people for falling asleep on the boardwalk. That's $150. And yet there's people I know that are making their living panhandling there. Like you can hang out next to one of the casino doors, opening doors for people. And people, even if you don't ask for money, people figure out that you're trying to make money and they give money to people. And in defense of the people who are doing this, there are people who probably are sleeping right there. And, I shouldn't begrudge them a livelihood, even though I do feel resentful that why won't cops let me play my damn guitar? Why am I forced to have no livelihood at all when almost everybody else has something? I mean, okay, I have things that I can do with this computer. I can take surveys and things, or I have this one video program which isn't running when I'm doing this live stream, but you let these videos play, and then every time 3 ads play, the counter goes up, and then eventually you can exchange your points for things like Amazon credit or Visa or MasterCard virtual cards. You got to be careful with them, though. I screwed up. I had a $180 virtual Visa card, and it expired in April. And that's $180 that just went down the drain. I'm thinking, what I could have spent, but hey, what's done is done. But now I don't want to put things into PayPal because the government's starting to pay attention. If you earn more than $600 in a calendar year, they send you a tax form now. So you have to be really sneaky how you earn and how you save, because you want to be under the radar. And for the piddling, tiny little whatever we stand to gain, it's ridiculous. It seems like, okay, this is my opinion. I understand that death and taxes are two inevitables, even though you want to try to postpone the one and you want to try to avoid, if you can, as much paying taxes, right? But if you're earning like not even a penny an hour or whatever, if it takes so long to earn something, I would like to think that money should not be taxable because it's so negligible. But but yeah, the cops. And the thing is, there's a guy who he's making money. He's homeless and he has at least one cat. I think they call him Oreo, and he has a cat on a leash on his shoulder, and he walks around. And okay, I'm not gonna. Far be it from me to say that anybody's exploiting anybody to make a buck. You think because I have my mom on my channel in a way I'm not exploiting her? Oh, the senior citizen, how cute. She loves her mother and a girl. There's a little bit of that maybe because if I'm not kidding myself that isn't a good part of my channel. There are people like the family aspect of it. When I had my cats, who I loved dearly and I miss dearly, you think that wasn't I'm sure that was more of a draw than I was. Whatever. You know what? Everything that's a part of us that we love, that we share excessively, that means it's being exploited. I don't know. It's all in how you look at it. But all I know is it seems like everybody has been kicked off the boardwalk, or they say that you have to get over $300 worth of what it takes to get a permit. And then once you get your permit, you can't be where you want to be. That's the thing is, I don't want to be up in the inlet. I don't want to be up near resorts. I don't want to be up where they can't hear you when you're not amplified. I don't want to be up where you can't put your hand 10 feet without running into a homeless friend who's sitting on the ground somewhere where you literally can't play. And plus, where there is no good Wi Fi. At least if I wanted to be over near the Tropicana because I liked their Wi-Fi signal. It was safe there. I knew where to run if there all of a sudden a thunderstorm started. I knew where I could run for cover. I knew where the valet parking thing was. Places where you can get safely. And again, it's a safety issue. But the government doesn't care. The government wants to make its money first. It wants to know where you're at. It wants to tell you the hours that you can do this. And that's the thing is, I can't be in the sun. They want me to be out in the sun. No, there was just so many reasons why it was not practical for me. And you have to fork over the well over $300 to get all the things. You have to get special insurance. You got to get fingerprint. Got to get a background check. Got to have photo ID. Got to have this. Got to have that. Got to have that. What the hell? All the people that are panhandling and doing whatever their side hustles are, and nobody knows a thing. And I'm sure they don't have to deal with some kind of permits and things. They're just. But yeah, and this town is just so corrupt, really, and it has been since Prohibition and before. And that's just the way it is. And our mayor, he's a total piece of human garbage. Him and his wife, and you've already read the scandals. I won't get into it here, but they're not nice people. And there are a lot of bad things about this area. So I always try to tell people, know before you go. Know not to take your safety for granted. Know that when you come here, don't go off the beaten track unless you're with people who can guide you. Don't just go, okay, oh, it's great. I can go to a 7-Eleven. I can get something a lot cheaper than the prices they charge at casinos. True, but are you going to get there and back safely? Don't go using these ATMs in back alleys behind 7-Elevens where somebody may hit you over the head and take your wallet. Don't walk down these streets. Now, one thing, we have a lot more cameras now. So in theory, it's improved the safety to a certain degree. It's cut down on some of the riffraff that would be hanging out, blasting us out with their music and all that. Chandelier, I'll see you in the next one. Whether I have to drive now. Well, yeah. And yes, and please don't be driving distracted. But thank you for stopping by. Uh, and I will definitely have to check out more of your shorts and things. I really need to sit down and do that. I don't get to sit down and rest too much. Between I'm always doing hand laundry and doing dishes, and dishes I think they reproduce if they don't get washed, and that's kind of a tedious thing. And when you're preparing food, you always making more dishes, and friends come over and you feed them. There's always more dishes, and yeah. And yesterday I wanted to film, and the reason why I just posted that little tiny short of my mom is that I was just so tired. And then there was this place that I thought I was going to go, but then it was raining for the first part of the day, and then I couldn't psych myself into it. And I was upset at myself because normally any chance for me to go someplace that might be fun, I'm like there. But I was just tired. It was like if it was more during nightclub hours, but during the dinner time thing, I was just, plus I had responsibilities for feeding my own mom, I had to feed her before I went out and stuff, and something better than just a cold sandwich. So okay, it is now 2:24 p.m. Almost 3 o'clock. I think I might check on my mom again, and I think I might put my jacket on and maybe go back out on the boardwalk looking for some people and seeing what's going on. Then maybe in a couple of hours, I will post today's video. I haven't forgotten about that, and I think it will be a fun one. So I hope you guys are safe. And if you're thinking about checking out the hurricane, if you're anywhere in the East Coast, please stay out of the water. Okay. They might not even let you on the beach certain places. Some places I heard the lifeguards are actually on the boardwalks themselves, keeping people, making sure they stay out of the water. So please don't drown. It's not worth it. Wait a couple of days. I think after Friday or Saturday it might be safe, but today it's not. Okay. All right. I'm gonna stop this so I can get on with my day. But you guys take care.